I'm going from Seattle to Olympia, but taking the long way around to avoid any backtracking. Why? Because it's possible. And why wouldn't I want to, once again, act like Magellan, but this time around the South Sound Basin? I'm here at the south end of the Seattle waterfront, at Pier 50, to catch my first of quite a few rides of the day. But first, I miss having a physical Orca card. Mission accomplished. I have about 20 minutes until my boat pulls on up, so while I walk down and join the queue, let's talk about today's journey. I'll be looping around the South Puget Sound area via Bremerton, Shelton, Olympia, and Tacoma, utilizing local transit. As if by magic, the garage doors rise and we make our way out to the pier right as the inbound trip unloads its early bird passengers. Right as the King County water taxi pulls up to the pier, I'm good to board. At the end of the pier, I boop and board the Rich Passage 1, Kitsap Transit's first fast ferry. I make my way through the rows of airline-style seating to get a seat at the front, of course. It is showing its age a bit, but it's still pretty comfortable. After the busier-than-I-expected vessel loaded up and the ropes untied, we're off. The Rich Passage 1 sails between Pier 50 in Seattle and the Bremerton Ferry Terminal in about 30 minutes, half the time as the Washington State Car Ferry. Right away, the morning glow is radiating off the mountain, and I knew I made the right choice in completing the route in a counterclockwise manner, even if it is significantly higher in cost. As we curve around Alki, we leave Elliott Bay behind and begin to cross the main Puget Sound Channel. From here, you can see West Seattle and other points on the mainland south there, the main Puget Basin, which means that the South Basin is beyond there, Vashon Island there, and Blake Island there. Blake Island is a state park and is BYOB, bring your own boat, as that is the only way to access it, unless you pay for one of those harbor boat excursions. We begin to enter the namesake of this boat, Rich Passage, between the Kitsap Peninsula and Bainbridge Island. As we continue westbound, we enter the Sinclair Inlet just as Bremerton comes into view ahead. The docking process is actually amazingly quick, and in mere moments, I'm exiting the vessel, thanking the deckhands, and making my way off the pier. Whoa, there are a lot of people here taking it back to Seattle. I make my way up the stairs to the main terminal building. The Bremerton Ferry Terminal is a large multimodal transit center. In addition to the Kitsap Fast Ferry and the Washington State Ferry, there are also 2 foot ferry routes to Port Orchard and Annapolis across the inlet, as well as Kitsap Transit's bus routes 212, 215, 217, 220, 221, 222, 224, 225, 226, 228, 229, 238, and 301. On the opposite side of all those, by the Harborside Fountain Park and the Puget Sound Navy Museum, I see a minibus all by its lonesome, and I have a feeling that must be my ride. Mason Transit Authority's Route 3, the lone wolf in Kitsap Transit's territory. It doesn't even have a sign over here indicating a stop. But hey, at least it's an entirely fare-free system. After a few moments, the driver opens the doors, asks where I'm headed, and I board. Well, color me surprised. I didn't expect that back window. Only one other passenger joins me here as we depart the terminal and make our way out of town. This Starcraft cutaway on a Ford E450 chassis will take me between here, at the ferry docks, to the census-designated place of Belfair in Mason County via Gorst on this roughly half-hour leg. We exit the city center via Burwell Street with the Bremerton Naval Base and the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard occupying the large swath of land bordering the inlet. We turn south on Charleston Boulevard, first passing Kitsap Transit's offices and bus base, as well as an entrance to the naval base itself. As the road nears the water, some of those massive Navy vessels can be seen docked right near the shore. That's pretty cool and all, but why am I even more fascinated watching the bright orange Kitsap Transit vehicles breezing by the glimmering Sinclair Inlet? I think it was 3LW who said, "Play is gonna play, foam is gonna foam." We merge onto Highway 3 and shortly after say goodbye to Puget Sound for now, as we exit the high-speed road to merge with West Belfair Valley on the north side of Gorst. Just seconds later, most development fades away with just the occasional home here and there in a field or in the forest. This may have been the quietest cutaway I've been on, and I can't complain about this legroom. As such, it gets the stubby thumb of approval. I resisted the urge to just stick my face against the back window during the trip, but just barely. Before I knew it, more homes were beginning to line the road, and then suddenly we are making a turn and getting to the end of the line and my stop at Northeast Clifton Lane in Belfair. I exit the minibus, watch it depart, and figure out what to do while I wait an hour for my next ride. So, I decide to explore a bit. When life gives me parking lots, I make mango mate out of it. This is kind of a surreal spot to wait for transit. There really isn't much around, even if it's a pretty busy area with 3 grocers and all of their associated businesses. At least the bus stop is at a park. Oh, that's the whole park? I've waited at worse. The stop itself is actually somewhat active for a rural agency, and it sees service on its routes 1, 3, 4, 21, and 23. The drive-through espresso stand does have a fun map mural on it, which helps to orient our place on the Kitsap Peninsula and how all the arms of Puget Sound are all around us. We are currently about here. We came from Bremerton there, and our next ride will take us there. Finally, an hour and a YouTube video watched later, I see the 35-foot low-floor green and white Gillig Route 1 pulling up to pick me up. I greet the driver and make my way to the back by the Gillig bar. As soon as I sit on the hard plastic seats, we're off. MTAs, no, not that MTA. Route 1 travels from here in Belfair to the county seat, Shelton, via Allen, Grapeview, and Bayshore. We connect with Highway 3 to head south out of town. The end of Hood Canal is just to our west as we curve slightly to cross the narrow isthmus. Within a few moments, we drop into the small, charming community of Allen and past its homes and businesses. Oh, shnikes! There is North Bay on the Case Inlet before me, showing off what the good old ice sheet gave it. We turn off the highway following the water line and the homes crowded along its banks on our way to Grapeview. At the post office, we turn to make our way back to connect with Highway 3. The landscape shifts towards what appears to be a working forest, aka logging land, and the Gillig picks up its speed. Just listen to this kitten purr. I also didn't know that the forest around here was so risque, but these trees don't have their tops on. We make a short deviation to stop at Pickering Road Park and Ride, picking up a passenger at an actual shelter versus just along the highway. The bus heads back to the main road, and about 5 minutes later, the road drops down to parallel the banks of the furthest reach of Oakland Bay. Oakland Bay is the furthest west arm of the South Puget Sound Basin. We continue to follow the narrow body of saltwater until the giant mill on Shelton's waterfront takes over all access to the water. The bus turns first through the industrial waterfront and then through the small city core before coming to the end of the line on West Franklin Street. Mason Transit Authority's Transit Community Center was a first of its kind when it was constructed. They purchased the old Coast Guard Armory and developed it into their offices and provided waiting rooms, restrooms, but also with human service agencies, community classrooms, and heck, even a pickleball court. It sees pretty decent transit service as well as 10 routes all utilize the center. The e-ink real-time arrivals board was a nice, pleasant surprise, but these hostile curved benches are not it. As the scheduled time for my next ride nears, quite a few individuals all appear to be waiting for the same one. Great to see so much ridership for such a small agency. Soon, another 35-foot Gillig, MTA's Route 6, starts pulling up, but this one is a year newer. Looks pretty much identical, and it even has those hard plastic seats again. Yay. Route 6 travels from here in Shelton to Olympia Transit Center via Kilmiche and Highway 101. We exit the Community Transit Center and make our way to Highway 3 again to head out of town. Looks like Shelton is about ready to have some fun. We climb up the hill, getting a quick glimpse of Oakland Bay yet again. Once Paul Bunyan greets us, we make a seemingly pointless deviation to circle the block before continuing on the highway again. The scenery quickly turns rural before we make another small deviation off the road to serve Cole Road Park and Ride, and then almost immediately merge with Highway 101 South. After about 5 minutes, we are exiting the freeway at Camilche. This village on the Little Skookum Inlet is home to the Squaxin Island tribe, and as such, does have a large casino along the highway. Pretty cool to see the tribal transit buses utilizing the same stops. About half of my riders also departed here. We merge our way back on the freeway, and shortly after, Oyster Bay on the Totten Inlet can be seen between the trees. The South Sound is well known for its productive oyster beds. So much so that our native species is literally called Olympia oysters. We continue to swiftly cruise down the freeway for a bit longer until we exit with Mud Bay Road, and soon we are crossing over the mud flats of the bay itself. Mud Bay Road turns into Harrison Avenue as we begin to pass through the outskirts of Olympia before development picks up steam and intercity transit buses can be seen on their local routes. This bus passes through 2 roundabouts as we approach downtown. Oh hey, bud. Inlet? How you doing? We make our way through the town center before coming to a stop at Olympia Transit Center. I could just wait for my next ride, but let's explore the capital city located at the most southern tip of Puget Sound a bit. May as well try out an extra intercity transit route as well. It is another fare-free system after all. I make my way over to Bay F and wait for my next ride. In short order, the 2019 Gillig pulls up, opens the doors, and by now, you know where I'm going to sit. I get comfortable as we have a driver switch here. Then something I've never seen happen before. 2 cleaning crew staff come aboard and start sweeping out the vehicle. It was a nice touch until I heard them talking that there was a report of a mess in the back of the bus. I was the only thing in the back of the bus. I know I'm a hot mess, but no need to call me out like that. Once the driver gets settled in, we're off. Intercity Transit's Route 52 travels to Lacey Transit Center via Yelm Highway, but I'm only taking it a few stops uphill. We exit the transit center by looping around it, which for a city of only 50,000 is extremely impressive. Look at all those routes available. This route heads south on Adams through the edge of the downtown area before merging over to Jefferson as we approach my stop at 13th and Jefferson Street in the midst of an area dominated by governmental agencies. I start walking down the path west and stumble upon a random elevator. I'm not sure who this is meant for, so I guess it's for me. I wind behind the office building, make my way up some stairs to start walking over the lid over 14th Street. Oh, there she is. The Washington State Capitol building. This open area surrounded by office building holds various different monuments and gardens. The Pollinator Garden is an especially popular spot, at least for the fuzzy bees getting their grub on. I continue walking west past the Korean War Memorial to cross the pedestrian bridge over Capitol Way. What's that there? That's the mother truckin' Apollo moon tree. It's pretty out of this world if you ask me. Oh look, Intercity's 600 and 610. I'll be taking at least one of those later. In 1949, Peter Schmidt, the son of the Olympia beer founder, went to Copenhagen and was so inspired by Tivoli Fountain, he thought the capital deserved a big attraction like that. So they built a replica here. As nice as it is, it doesn't quite have that same gravitas as the one in Denmark. I end up walking by several more monuments along the way and even take a quick circle around the sunken gardens. It's pretty much in full bloom right now, so how could I resist? I walk by the Capitol building itself, which seems to be busy with school field trips today, as well as the Temple of Justice. I walk around and am eagerly anticipating the next point of interest. The trees clear out and, wowza, this is the view I was waiting for. From here you can see the Olympic Mountains in the distance, and Bud Inlet reaching its fingers to the furthest south point of Puget Sound. Technically, Bud Inlet's mudflats traditionally went just south of here to Tumwater, but apparently mudflats weren't beautiful enough for the capital, so after decades of planning in 1951, the Fifth Avenue Dam right there was constructed to retain the outflow of water, flooding the mudflats and creating this artificial Capitol Lake. As such, I'm treating right there as the southern reach of the Puget Sound Basin. Now that I've seen this view, it's time to meander back towards the transit center. There's a path right here that I can take down to the lake below, so I switch back, 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 I look, and I walk. I saunter along the lake, admiring these cute little plaques commemorating the counties of the state before I veer off to explore a bit of downtown. It's an incredibly walkable area. Just a few blocks over lies Sylvester Park, which was donated for public use way back in 1850. That stunner of a building ahead was the old state capitol building, although it lost its tower in a 1928 fire. Walking through town, it's filled with small local businesses, theaters, cafes, restaurants, and it's all very charming, even if it can be a little gritty at times. I end up walking just north of Capitol Lake, getting another vantage of that beautiful Capitol building before I make my way to Percival Landing. Oh, wow. PDA alert. The boardwalk is pretty pleasant. It's nice to look at all the boats and see how many people are enjoying the restaurants scattered along the waterfront. At the end lies a small lookout tower to climb up and look out over Bud Inlet below. Next door lies the Olympia Farmers Market, open Thursdays through Sundays, and it is quite the spot to be. Everything from produce to food trucks to local artisans can all be found here. It's an understandably well-loved spot for the city. Just a few blocks away, I trudge my way back to the Olympia Transit Center. It's an incredibly busy place for the network where 17 different intercity transit routes stop, as well as Mason Transit, Grays Harbor Transit, Lewis Transit, and Flixbus/Greyhound. There is plenty of shelter and even an indoor area to wait if you wish. Before long, my intercity transit route 600 is pulling on up. I greet the driver and head to my spot in the back. Within seconds of the rather large group of individuals boarding here, we're off. Intercity Transit's Route 600 travels from here to State Route 512 Park and Ride in Lakewood, pretty much all along I-5. In fact, I'll pretty much be on the freeway all the way back to Seattle at this point. I started the day off with a bang, and now I get a much more subdued afternoon. We leave Olympia via Capitol Way, passing through downtown, by the Tivoli Fountain, the Capitol, and the Mother Truck and Moon Tree before turning just south of the Capitol grounds through the charming old neighborhood, and within a minute or two we're crossing over I-5 to merge right on it. After a bit, we dip down and cross over the Nisqually River right about where it empties into Puget Sound. If you've ever taken Amtrak through here, there is where the tracks cross over the freeway. We then pass through Joint Base Lewis McChord. Much of it is hidden behind walls, but you can get view towards some of the buildings and housing for the Joint Army and Air Force Base. When we enter the city of Lakewood, we exit the freeway, and in a few short minutes we turn into Lakewood Station. I've never actually been to this stop on the Sounder before, so I decided to get off here and check it out. No train for me though, as I'd have to wait a few hours. The station looks super nice though. Oh wait, that's just the parking garage. Oh, that's the platform? There really isn't much else here. There are even just 2 Sound Transit routes and 2 intercity transit routes serving the station. For some reason, Pierce Transit, the operator for this county, doesn't even stop here. My next and final ride begins to pull up, and it's Sound Transit Express's 594. This 2012 hybrid Gillig will be taking me from here in Lakewood to Seattle via Tacoma. So I boop and make my way to the Gillig bar, take a seat, and we're off. This route always tends to get crowded by the time we leave Tacoma, so I get all my fun inside shots out of the way now. After easily amusing myself, we turn into State Route 512 Park and Ride, pick up a few passengers, and depart the transit center with Mount Rainier watching over us. From here, we make our way to I-5 and head north through the Tacoma suburbs. We exit the freeway to I-705 that cuts Tacoma off from its water, but the views of the Port of Tacoma, the Thea Foss Waterway, the Museum of Glass, and the expansive Commencement Bay are all pretty nice. From there, we loop back around through downtown Tacoma, passing its version of the Spanish Steps, the Pantages Theater, and through the transit center along Commerce Street. We then turn to exit the city, but not before stopping in front of UW Tacoma and the Tacoma Dome Station, where the bus really fills up. To the freeway at the Giant Casino, and moments later we cross over the Puyallup River, with Tacoma's namesake mountain, Tahoma, rising from behind it. But soon the natural beauty fades away a bit, and it's just typical freeway sights. I am a little sad that this is Wild Wave's last season, even if I've never gone to it before. We then cruise on past Federal Way, Kent, and Tukwila before entering into Seattle, right around where the Olympian gods must have blessed me to get this perfect timing of Link crossing overhead. We finally leave the freeway via Spokane Street, getting great views of the Link Operations and Maintenance Facility building below, as well as the city skyline. We then merge onto the Soto busway and cruise without competing traffic by Soto Station, where many on my bus transfer to Link. We continue on, eventually merging onto 4th Avenue and entering into Seattle. I get off the bus at Cherry Street, and I'm so darn close to closing this South Sound loop. I decide to just walk downhill, and I gotta say, it's always nice to know where that local fallout shelter is. And there it is, Pier 50, with a Kitsap Transit ferry at the dock and a King County water taxi docking, just like it was when I left. And oh yeah, the Olympics and the Sound look great from here too. After 7 rides, 4 agencies, and $16, I have officially looped around the South Sound. Pretty good way to spend a day if I do say so myself. Wait, is that the new waterfront shuttle?